new home for podcasts and original music.
The Zagnif One Radio Network.
Are taking on the number 21 Texas Longhorns. I'm still wondering when they're gonna be back. Sam Ellinger said they were gonna be back like 3 years ago.
Just comes to mind on that list that you're like, like this, they could shock the world. Nathan,
you want this? Hold on,
Nathan. Wait a minute, stop it, Skip.
How are we looking at this? Is this a walk off or is this gonna be like the Florida game?
Bama by 3 touchdowns.
Here we go. Get your popcorn ready.
So what's the big thing?
Hello, ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls. It is Monday, October 25th, 2021. You'll know what that means. You know what's coming up this Saturday. Georgia versus Florida. All week long, let the smack talk begin. The Dogs, the Gators, TIAA Bank Stadium, Jacksonville, Florida, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS. I am your host, one half of This Week in SEC Football, Anthony Handy, our homeboy Sean Spencer at home checking us out. Thank you very much, Mr. Shout Out King, for being a part of this endeavor. Today, I'm sitting here with my ace, my homie, my fellow Georgian, my man, the one and only Colin. Colin has come through to show some love, and we're going to talk Georgia football. How you doing, man?
What's up, man? How you doing, man?
Oh, bro, I'm good. I said, Colin, matter of fact, you said you had something ready for me. We was going to give it to the people before,
absolutely.
We got into it. You got me queued up there, Mr. DJ.
Yes, sir. Here we go.
Yes, sir.
How about that?
Hey, that's them Georgia Bulldogs right there. Athens, Georgia, born and bred. What is it? 100 programs, 127 years old this year, I believe it is.
That's what it sounds. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a long time coming for us to get in the dance, man. We got to get. We seems like we're outside.
Yes, sir. This year, it looks like the number one, the Georgia Bulldogs currently ranked number one in the AP polls, are poised to make another run for the national championship. As you all know, 2017 didn't end quite so good for us. So we're looking to go back and get redemption. It has been since 1980 when the Dogs last hoisted the national championship trophy. And as you know, back then, Herschel was a young pup. Vince Dooley was still 8 years from retiring, and now here we are in 2021. And I think, honestly, man, I got to be honest. I think this is the year.
You got to be careful. You got to be careful when you say that, though. You know what I mean?
I'm keeping it real because anybody can get anybody. Do you understand? On anytime you step on the gridiron, anybody can get anybody. I won't call nobody out on Alabama, but sorry, I got that. I must got some mustard.
Well,
I got some mustard stuck. I got some mustard stuck in my throat from winning.
I don't know, dude. Hit you in the head with it last week.
Right? You need to get talking about that right there. It's all up in here. I just did. Good thing it wasn't a golf ball, man.
Oh my goodness. Shoe, maybe a shoe. I don't know. That was for it, right?
I mean, let's be real. Anytime you set foot on that gridiron, you can get got. We've seen it happen all season long. Sean and I are going to talk about this a little bit more on Thursday, but I believe it was 3-4 teams fell, ranked teams that lost to teams that they had no business losing to.
That's right.
Penn State, Oklahoma almost gave one away until Caleb Williams woke up. Tennessee played Bama real tight. You know what I'm saying? Purdue got in.
I was really surprised at that one. I was surprised Tennessee. They held them tough the first half, and then Bama does what Bama do. I mean, they came back to light for the second half, and they just that's what Saban does. You know what I mean?
They got Saban. They just look. Forget Forget you just got mossed. How about you just got Sabaned?
Right.
They just spot people 17, 18 points. Like, all right,
Oh
fellas,
yeah.
y'all ready?
But
Hey,
what's
fellas.
crazy to me, what crazy to me fingers is like they will be down the first half, then they'll go to halftime, and it's like they actually go through everything that happened in the first half, and they exploit everything that happened to them in the first half. I mean, we're a perfect example. I mean, Georgia's a perfect example. You know what I mean? We always will be up. You know, have the first up the first half, and the second half they just just drill us. I mean, I don't know. I have no explanation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, I don't think there was any more disappointing. I mean, there have been some disappointing moments. I think every sports fan has had some disappointing moments in their
Oh, of course.
lifetime. I do not think. I think the loss in the national championship hurt more than the Super Bowl. I do
Yeah.
because we had them on the ropes, and all we had to do
It's not the first time, bro. I mean, that's not the first time we've had them. I mean, like really, and I agree with you there. I
But
definitely
this is
agree
the
with
first
you.
time. This is the first time we've had them in a national championship game. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I
With
understand.
that squad that we had, I mean, we had a two-headed monster in the backfield, plus
Absolutely.
a third backup in DeAndre Swift. It was like, I'm just gonna catch a ball out. I'm gonna catch a ball out the backfield.
Yeah.
You know, Jake
Yep.
Fromm.
And Fromm was balling out like he was a freshman. Did not even play like he was a freshman. I mean, like
a lot of
it was
people,
just
a lot of people expected him to fall on his face because Eason was the chosen one.
sure.
You saw the thing. You saw the whole bit we did last.
You know where he went
week.
though.
Yeah, he's where is he now with the Seahawks? Yeah,
I know, but he went to Washington. Like he wasn't. Fromm took his spot, and then he went to Washington. So I mean,
right, exactly. And so he just came in and he balled out. And he was a little shaky at first, and then once
but
he
it
got
looked
his
like he
feet,
had ice in his veins, dude. I mean, like it really, like against Oklahoma, it just looked like he was not even rattled. Like I mean, that was the most stressful game for me. I mean, as a fan,
because we were trailing in both those games, both Auburn and the Oklahoma game.
Yep.
And the Oklahoma game had me more worried because Baker Mayfield, Heisman Trophy candidate at that point.
Yep.
I was like, there's no way this kid is more than likely going to win the Heisman is going to let this game get away. And of course, when we moved out here, I had to hear about that a lot when we first got out here.
I hear you.
Yeah, I got told by a lady in the Walmart, it's like, yeah, you might want to go ahead and take that off. Don't take too kindly to that around here.
Around here, come on, man. There's a different conference, but actually not different conference now. Might not be later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't understand why they want that. I don't understand why Oklahoma wants that beat down. I mean, it's going to take them a couple of years to get used to all that. But
I would tell you this: they're supposed to. It depends on how they want to play it. As you know, their television deal doesn't run out for another 4 years, but they have the option to pay the money and make the jump. Yeah. And Sean and I have said that it's more than likely going to depend on how they end this year, how this season goes. And in the off season, they'll make the decision. Like if this is a really successful season and they've got a lot of momentum going and they have the opportunity to make the jump behind the momentum, like even if they get in the playoff and they don't win, but they're going toe to toe, it's a great recruiting tool. It'll be a great recruiting tool. They'll make the jump over to the SEC. I think if they finish, I think if they, trip and fall, they may hang around for another season. But we'll see. We'll see.
I tell you, is that how it works? I mean, they're what'd you say, 22? No, when they come, 25?
2025. But they have the option to pay out the remaining part of the contract and go ahead and leave and be gone next season. I'm gonna tell you this much though: if they show up in the SEC playing half asleep in the first half, like they did this past Saturday, it's gonna be a whole lot of welcome to the SEC for them.
Oh yeah. Well, you can't earlier.
Dude, you can't do that. You see what Texas A&M did to Alabama.
Exactly. Well, look at Arkansas. I mean, look at that game. Maybe say like Arkansas and Texas. Like they showed up and Arkansas just beat them down, beat them like a drum. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you gotta be careful. I mean, I understand the money aspect. I get it, but I mean, if you want to talk that noise, you got to be ready to I mean, like we're used to, like Georgia and every other SEC team is used to playing a Vanderbilt, a Kentucky, a not so like great supposed team, and that's every any Saturday, right? You know what I mean?
Right. But here's my 2 cents on that. Even the Vanderbilts and prior to this season, Arkansas's and the South Carolinas and up until a few years ago, the Kentuckys that basically most
Missouri.
folks, right? Mississippi, Missouri, Mississippi State. I've talked about that before. Remember Drew Lock at Missouri and how we used to sweat through those games?
Oh
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
if you're a bottom tier team in the strongest group of people playing in the whole league, then you're gonna beat up on some people.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna beat up on a USC that's who was basically those years was USC and nobody else. Or you're gonna beat up on a BYU, or you're gonna beat up on we don't know because Cincinnati's looking kind of legit. But if things play out the way I think they will, we're gonna find out just how good Cincinnati is. Because I got a feeling there. If Georgia wins out, I think a 1-loss team from the West, depending on who it is, or maybe a 2-loss team even. Like, let's say Mississippi State or Alabama, we play them in the SEC championship game. We win. Mississippi State right now has a Heisman candidate who has lost to no one, but at this point would be the number 1 team, Alabama, who was the number 1 team at the time, and number 1 Georgia. Those would be considered quality losses. They could potentially have 2 losses and still get in the playoff.
Well, see, yeah. I mean, that brings me to my question to you. Actually, is who is your 4? Who's your 4 that you think is going to get in there? I mean, aside from being a Georgia fan, I mean, we actually should. If we run the table, which we should. I mean, I don't believe that anybody is in front of us that we would have a problem with, but. I don't want to talk like that, but
if it plays out like it has been playing out, I'm gonna go with Georgia. I'm gonna go with Cincinnati. I think potentially Ohio State. Really? Sooner fans. I hate to say it. Wait a minute. You know what? That's going to be tricky because Ohio State has that early loss to Oregon, but Oregon has been surging. So now that looks like a quality loss. Like if Oregon finishes strong, I don't know. Now you're kind of stuck because you got a 1-loss Oregon that beat Ohio State. You have a 1-loss Ohio State that lost.
You got Iowa that lost last weekend, right?
You got Iowa that lost last week. You've got. They were talking on the franchise sports here, and I listened to the radio on the way home when I go into the office. They were saying the Big 12 might be in a big mess. Like, who's your number 2? They say if Oklahoma wins out, who's your number 2? Because right now you got a 1-loss Oklahoma State.
Right.
You got a 1-loss Iowa State. I think you got a Baylor. I don't know if Baylor has lost the game or not. So I'm just looking right now. I foresee Oklahoma probably tripping on the way to the Big 12 championship. I hate to say it, y'all. I see somebody because there are some scrappy teams in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Kansas.
Yeah.
1-5 Kansas.
Yep. I watched that game. Yep.
1-5 Kansas held the Oklahoma Sooners, who had a 19-game, the longest active winning streak in the entire NCAA at 19 games. Held them scoreless in the first half.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, I watched that game. Yep.
I mean, and it took everything that Caleb had within him. It was him, Mims, and Kennedy Brooks. I'm just gonna call it for what it is.
Yeah.
That's the Three Stooges right there. Because Mims is the deep threat. And then now because Caleb is a dual threat quarterback, defenses don't know whether Kennedy's already a beast. They're like, do I key up on him? Do I key up on him? And then you see what happened Saturday. They had Kennedy tackled up, and Caleb was like, give me the ball. I'll get the first down.
Exactly. Well, no, dude, that was what's funny. That whole play. I want to ask your opinion on that. Do you think that was? I mean, is that an illegal play, or is it not a? Is it a legal play, or is it? I mean, how? Where's the gray area there? Is there a gray area? I saw it. I was like, whoa!
I watched it.
That can't be legal. That's forward.
I watched it.
That was
you
forward.
saw me. I posted it.
Yeah,
and I said it's under review, but if it stands, it was a hell of a heads-up play. Now,
Yeah.
Here's the thing. His forward progress was stopped. Now,
Absolutely.
mind you, his forward progress was stopped, but the referee had not blown the whistle, and the exchange took place behind the line of scrimmage. Those two factors right there alone, it's just like the whole
Okay.
thing with legal jargon and all that stuff. It's like,
Okay.
yeah, well, he shot him and killed him, but he didn't go over there with the intent to kill him.
Yeah.
He had the gun on the holster, and not to make light of no, seriously,
Yeah.
in the wake of some things that just happened over the weekend with some
Sure.
celebrities and things. Not to make light of it, but seriously, like if you go to somebody's house and you have a gun and it's in a holster and you guys get to goofing around, you don't even pull the gun, but the gun goes off, you kill the guy. The legal thing is, okay, he didn't go over there with intent, and the gun accidentally went off, so we can't charge you with first degree, or we can't really charge you with murder. We charge you with manslaughter.
Yeah,
I don't. That is it. That's a weird way to go with that. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. So by those two things, even though his forward progress was stopped, the whistle was not blown, and the exchange took place behind the line of scrimmage. And honestly, Kennedy didn't hand it off to him so much as Caleb took it.
He took it from him.
So there you have with that. Oh, we got some people popping in on the chat here. Oklahoma State lost to Iowa State. Baylor 6-1. What's going on? Shouts out to my guy. I got to be the shout out king today. Normally that's Sean's job. Shouts out to my guy, the other half of this week in SEC football, Mr. Sean Spencer. Smiling Point.
There he is. I was waiting on him to show up.
Oh, he been there for a minute. He been there. That was give him some love right there. Yeah, he's like, he's still on that Tennessee fan too. Hey, Sean, I'm telling you, I'm in the middle of an interview. Here come this dude.
Can he throw some light on the mustard thing? I mean, like, why mustard?
Oh, me? Do you want me to talk about it?
No. I was asking if Sean can throw a little bit of light on why they throwing mustard. You know what I'm saying? He said he's a Tennessee fan.
Sean, I don't know how we went there. I'm a dude. You can ask me how to sweep a floor, and the next thing I'm telling you how to vacuum acorns out of your front yard. I was just talking about I honestly was just talking about how even though we know what the rules say, if his forward progress is stopped, the play should be dead. But because the whistle was not blown and the exchange took place behind the line of scrimmage, those two things right there make it a legal play. So yeah, I know, right? Ugh, that's a little weird.
I mean, that was the thing with me is that the whistle was not blown. So I mean that he basically just stole it from him. So the play was still a legal play. So I mean the ball was still in motion. So I mean it just looked weird. That's all I'm saying.
It did.
You know what I'm saying?
It did. So this is a good place. This is a good place to say, those of you that are just joining us, that happen to be hanging out, or if you're watching the replay, welcome to This Week in SEC Football. I am Mr. Fingers. My co-host Sean Spencer will be joining us for the Thursday broadcast this week. I got my homie, my fellow Georgia homeboy Colin here visiting us. We're talking Georgia versus Florida. This show, ladies and gentlemen, is sponsored by DJG Enterprises, where you can get custom laser engraved tumblers. You can also get Afghans and Greek Gans. They have custom Afghans. Hit them up today. It doesn't necessarily have to be Greek paraphernalia. They can do all sorts of sports paraphernalia for you as well, as long as you send them the particulars of what you need. Hit that email right there, DariusJerome@gmail.com today for the finest in all of your custom sports paraphernalia. All right, we're going to keep this thing going. Now, here's what we came to talk about today. Georgia versus Florida.
I don't know. Can we call it what it is, though?
The world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Now, I know they don't.
We'll get sued about that.
Yeah, I know they don't officially use the name anymore, but it is what it is. We still call it what it is. It's just like Alabama and LSU. It's just like not is it Alabama, Tennessee?
What, Auburn? Iron Bowl?
Alabama, Tennessee with the cigars.
Oh yeah.
Same thing. They wave it, and people are all in the stands smoking cigars. So we waving it for this show. Georgia versus Florida. Depending on who you ask, we either met the first time in 1904 or 1915. Either way, the thing that both teams can agree on is it has been almost a century of one of the most intense college football rivalries ever. The last game I really don't like to talk about. We kind of got embarrassed 44-28, but we're going to make up for that this year. Largest margin of victory, Georgia wins 75-0 in 1942.
Wow.
We're kind of tied up on the longest win streak. Nobody's really gone on a huge run. Florida had a 7-year run from 90 to 96. We had a 7-year run from 1941 to 1948. We currently do lead the all-time series. Depend on when the game was first played, we're either winning with 52 wins to their 44 or 53 wins to their 44, and there's been 2 ties. So this coming weekend in Jacksonville, Florida, it's got to be coming this week in Florida. This is going to be a big deal because for Georgia fans everywhere and for Florida fans, because it's one of the biggest rivalry games in college football. It's right up there with Ohio State, Michigan, Auburn and Alabama.
Oh yeah.
You know, some of those big time rivalries. This is one of the biggest rivalries in college football, if not the biggest in our minds, because you know how we feel about it. Right now, ESPN has us with an 80% possibility to win. I wanted to know how you feel.
What's the line? Is it a line?
I don't even know what the line is. I'm not looking at lines because I don't really look at lines because I don't gamble. I basically hit up ESPN and what they say that the percentages are right now. And as of right now, they got us with an 80% opportunity to win. I'd like for that to be a little higher.
No kidding.
I mean, seriously, I'd like for that to be a little higher because every other game that we played this season has been 85% or better.
Yeah.
So I'd like for that to be a little higher. But you always have to take in the Georgia-Florida factor. There's always something that can happen in a rivalry game. Adrenaline's up, nerves are up, mistakes are made. Right now, there's the season leaders for both teams. The mailman, Stetson Bennett, 57-82 with 996, 11 TDs, and 2 pickles. And Florida, Emery Jones, 1.5 of the 4 pickle twins from last week. Bruh, 2 quarterbacks threw 4 interceptions. Ain't that something?
Yeah, no kidding.
I know Dan Mullen was on the sideline like, I ain't got nobody else to put out there. Just keep playing.
Let's put the kicker in there. He can throw the ball.
Yeah. Hey,
come here. Just for your information, fingers, we picked the win by 14. Just let you know.
We picked the win by 14. Okay, I like those odds. Emery Jones is Florida's leading passer with 1,305 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. He's also the team's leading rusher with 499 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, we know that Zeus has not been a world beater this year, but Zeus has definitely showed up big this year. He's broken a few runs. He's definitely coming to his own. And then, of course, how about this? Our leading receiver this year, going into the season, we just knew it was going to be George Pickens. Our leading receiver is a true freshman.
Yes, sir.
Brock Bowers with 416 yards and every time that boy touches the ball,
that boy
he gets in the end zone. Boy is bad. That boy is electric. We got to come up with something for him. We got Zeus. They got.
It could be Bowser. I mean, like Mario. I don't know. I mean, what are you gonna do?
It's me, Mario, but his name's not Mario, so that doesn't really count.
Well, no, Bowser, man, the one he tried to beat.
Oh man, don't tell me look. We start calling him Baby Gronk.
baby Gronk. There you go.
We start calling him Baby Gronk like that.
Honestly, to your point, man,
I'm special.
To your point, though, I mean, it's like I wanted Pickens, and he had that horrible injury last. Was it earlier this year or last year, whatever, the ACL. But I mean, like everybody was like pointing him to be like the number 1 receiver. But we had a lot of people, other players step up. You know what I'm saying? We got 2 tight ends. Like you and I were just talking about Zero. What was it? Washington, right? He stepped up. You know what I mean? And it just, everybody's just stepped up in their place. I mean, it just seems like we're doing well there. So.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, it's been. I will say this: it's been one heck of a season so far.
Who was it? Who was it you told me that got hurt? Was it Milton? Milton got hurt, right?
Yes.
He's out for a couple weeks.
Yeah, he's out for a couple of weeks. That one really hurt because he definitely had his breakout game against Kentucky. I mean, he really showed out. He had an awesome game, but he's out for a couple of weeks. On the injury end, while you're talking about that, coach announced today that JT Daniels, who we know was the starting quarterback, was injured, tweaked his shoulder in week 1 and really hasn't played a full game since. Will be coming back and he'll be sharing quarterback duties. I'm not sure how we feel about that. We'll get back into that. We'll get back into that a little bit later.
Okay.
We'll get back into that a little bit later. But since you brought up the injuries, I wanted to talk about that. But honestly, this season has been a hell of a ride. This season has actually been more of a ride for me than we had national championship run in 1980, but I was a 10-year-old boy, so I didn't appreciate it as much.
You were 10,
as a 10-year-old boy.
So,
Yeah. I wasn't even I was 10. So I didn't appreciate it as much as I did in 2017 as a grown man, having now gone back. And fun fact for those of you that are watching today that happen to know me, y'all know most of the folks that know me know I'm one of the biggest dog fans out there. It was me, it was you, it was our homeboy Jordan. Shout out to the homie Agent 23, professional softball player out there doing his thing.
yes, sir.
From born and bred in Athens, Georgia. So there was no way around him being a dog fan. But I went to school my freshman year. I attended the University of Georgia. I went to one game. The entire time I was there. I watched the rest of them in the dormitory, on the 4th floor, at Crestwell Hall, in the TV room with everybody else, cussing and fussing because Emmitt Smith was just running up and down the field on us that year. Let's see, that was the year of Rodney Hampton. I believe that was the first year that Vincent retired and Jim Noonan had taken over as the head coach. So I couldn't fully appreciate it until I've only been to 2 games in person. The second game was Georgia versus Georgia Tech in Athens with Matt Stafford under center, Mo Massaquoi as a slot receiver.
Yeah, there you go.
I think AJ Green was still playing at that point. And on the other side, on the other side at wide receiver, number 1 receiver for Georgia Tech, pre-Megatron Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
So that was and being able to be on the sidelines and go over to practice and meet Coach Richt and shake hands with the players and be on the sidelines while to see the lone trumpeter up in the northeast corner playing Glory, Glory to Old Georgia and almost getting run over by the Redcoat band.
But that's what I was telling you. Like that right there, you telling me that being on the field, I am so jealous of that, dude. I've been to several games, but I've never been on the field, bro. Like I can tell you, I take it back. I've been on the field one time. Remember what year was it we beat Tennessee for the first time in how many years? In Athens? What year was that? That was 2001, 2002, somewhere around there.
One of Coach Rick's first years. He wasn't coach for very long. He'd been there for like a year or two.
So basically, I started with my job up here in Northern Virginia, and I actually met a guy here, and he was a huge Tennessee fan. So
wait a minute, who was it you said we beat?
Tennessee.
Now to get
So it was. We hadn't beat them in probably, I don't know what it was like. I mean, it maybe been 10 years or something like that, something crazy like that. And so he was a Tennessee fan. So I was talking to him, and like it was not. I moved up here in '99, so it was probably, I was thinking 2001, maybe 2000, somewhere around that area. But he wanted to go see a game. I was like, dude, I know people in Athens. I know, let's roll. So we actually drove. We drove down to the game when we played Georgia Tennessee in Athens. Got down there and we beat them. And we got down to the bottom. We jumped over the hedges. Like I was on the field running, and that's when remember when the goalpost came down. Remember? The goalpost came down and they were taking it down, whatever the street, Main Street or Union Street, whatever it was downtown. And I was one of them dudes. I was hanging on. I was hanging off the goalpost. But I lost him, and I mean, it was the greatest time I ever had. It was awesome. But
that was the absolute best time. I honestly, it would be hard for me to go to a game at Sanford and sit in the stands now, knowing that I was on the sideline, like with Mark Rick and dapping the guys up when they came off the sidelines. And it was so funny because our homie Jordan, he's about 6'4".
Yeah,
and he's built. He's a solid dude.
Yes, sir.
And he had on all red and black. And so the game, he's walking by dapping up players and stuff like that during the game. Good play, baby. Good play, baby. Good play. Yeah, way to play. Way to be there. Way to be there. And so after the game is over, they go out on the 50-yard line. Everybody's circled up, and he walks up to Matt Stafford, daps him up, and leans in and starts whispering in his ear. And you can see all the reporters like whispering, like, this guy's got to be a former player or whatever. And he's got on his softball championship rings. And they're looking him up.
He looks the part.
Dude, the photographers were everywhere. They were taking tons of pictures and stuff like that. But it was, I mean, to take a picture with Sonny Siler, to get the scratch Ugga behind the ears, to get to be down there with the Savage Squad and do push-ups with the Savage Squad during the touchdowns. Bruh, the atmosphere in Sanford Stadium on a Saturday in the fall is listen, I don't care what you say, Bryant Denny, Tiger Stadium, whatever they call it, with Death Valley. I know y'all have your traditions. We got ours and we love it and wouldn't trade it for anything. Oh man, got to meet big dog Mike Woods. May he rest in peace.
Yeah, big dog. No, his son is carrying the torch though, right? His son
absolutely.
Is carrying the torch.
Big dog Mike Woods is a Georgia fan that you probably know exactly who I'm talking about once I describe him. Bald guy. His wife would paint the dog on top of his bald head, and he would have on a white t-shirt and some overalls, or they'd normally either be red overalls or something like that with a dog on it. And he was in them stands.
Wasn't he on the E60 with Ugga? Like, I think he was involved.
I believe he was.
Somehow.
I
think he was involved somehow.
I believe he was. For those of you that just joining us, hey, welcome this week in SEC Special Edition, Georgia versus Florida. Man, we've been talking for 30 minutes. We talked almost half the show. We haven't even gotten to the game yet.
Dude, we had a half a show before we even put live.
That we did. But I mean, it's hard for me to see how a Florida team that I'm not exactly sure what happened with Dan Mullen and the boys, because when I watched it, like for me, my litmus test for Florida every year is to watch whatever ranked team, highest ranked team they have on their schedule before us. And that game was against Bama. And they played Bama down to the wire. And I was like, yeah, boys are looking good. We got to tighten up our shot group.
That was the thing that got me too.
But then they got almost zero defense.
Yeah. And
they got their starting quarterback is almost at a 1-to-1 ratio of touchdowns to picks. Now, here's my concern. And then again, it might just be unfounded. I haven't really seen much from our secondary, but part of that has to do with the fact that their front seven is so nasty.
Exactly.
I mean, Kentucky,
dude,
Levis came.
That quarterback's got like what, 2-3 seconds? I mean, like really, snap. I mean, really, Levis.
I gotta give props to Mark Stoops. What he did was he had Levis throwing a bunch of dump screens. Yeah. And that was how they were able to move the ball down the field. But sit in the pocket all day, that just wasn't happening. You just don't get that kind of. And I'm gonna tell you why. Look here. Look, I said I wasn't gonna bring Uncle Shay into this today, but I had to come talk to you, Skip. I gotta come talk to you, Skip Bayless. Colin, I know, my bad. Every time I sit in front of somebody, I just think that Skip Bayless, you kind of look like him a little bit, except you're wearing red, and that's all right with me because I'm a Georgia boy too, even though I went to Savannah State, but that's a whole different animal. But what we gonna talk about here, I'm gonna tell you why. 6'6", 340 pounds. He's so big they had to give him the biggest number on the roster.
and he runs a 4.5.
And he run a 4.5. 4.5. Skip, you know how fast you got to be to run a 4.5 at 340 pounds? That means that man got a motor. That man got a motor like a 1995 Mustang 5.0. That meant he could get going all the time. Like they used to call me the escalator because I come up slow.
Oh shit.
They called him the motivator because that man got a motor. Big baby Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis.
I'm trying to figure out. Hey, I'm trying to figure out how is who was it that recording people or clocking people on GPS? You see ESPN, like who was it that was saying that? It was like Georgia boy. Shoot, what's his name? He's on ESPN game day. It's like he runs 30 miles or whatever on GPS.
Oh, that's right. I was wondering what those were. I'm glad somebody set me straight on that because it looked like the guys were all wearing sports bras. I'm not even lying. Look at you see like the whole team. I've seen other teams. I'm like, that's new. But apparently the GPS tracker is in the thing or whatever it is. That's some kind of harness to measure their speed or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It just got me because everybody's talking about GPS on the GPS. Everybody's talking about it on ESPN. I was like, all right, well, how do y'all know about it on GPS?
Well, hey, look, all I know is if I'm a quarterback,
if I see that dude running toward me, 99, if I see Jordan coming to me, I'm getting the hell out. To be honest with you.
You know, people can say what they want to say about Bill Cosby. Like Bill Cosby was one of my favorite comedians growing up, and Bill Cosby had a skit that he did where he talked about his experiences as a football player at Temple University, and the whole skit went something like, "It's weird. Temple had a bad football team. It was always 4th and 47 on us. So we get in the huddle, and the quarterback wasn't no great dude neither. And so we get in the huddle, and he says, okay, this time Cosby up the middle. And I said, why? He ain't never called on me before. I said, why don't you run the ball? Why you don't even understand why he calling on me? But we got in the formation, and he called it to 42. There was a hike, and he turned around, he handed me the ball. And then I saw coming through the line, 6'7", 842 pounds.
Yes, sir.
Didn't have no pads or nothing on, just a helmet and his name, David. It said, David, and then I said, David doesn't want to hurt me. What does David want? He wants the ball. So I gave it to him.
Exactly.
You should have seen how happy this kid got, man. He was so happy. I turned around and blocked for him.
That's kind of like, it's funny you should say that because it's kind of like Waterboy. Remember, it's like 62, and he said, and my mom was talking about my mom is like he throws the ball to him, he intercepts the ball and like throws it to him. No, you had to watch it.
I haven't seen that. I'm gonna have to go back and check that out. But
yes, it's the same situation.
So the defense. I mean, you can't talk about Georgia football this year. No other year. I mean, and this is better than the 2017 squad. You can't talk about Georgia this year without talking about that defense. That defense is something else.
Do you think Jordan? Now, there's a lot of conversation about Jordan being Heisman candidate, which I find nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
I don't see anything wrong with it either because
when has a defensive player actually won the Heisman? How long has it been since
the 90s? Since Woodson, since Rod Woodson,
Charles Woodson?
Yeah, at I want to say, oh God, where was he at? Michigan?
How long was that? I mean, that's been a decade.
Almost some 30 some odd years ago because he's since retired and is in the Hall of Fame.
But he's in the conversation. I mean, obviously, the dude's a playmaker, man. I mean,
there you go, Woodson. Thank you, Sean. I said Woodson. Hey, listen here, boo boo. I don't come to McDonald's kicking the McNuggets out of your hand. Don't be telling me how to do what I'm doing. All right, I'm just messing with you. That's my man.
You're getting better. You're getting better on that one. You're getting better on that one.
It's 1997, so that has been exactly 24 years.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, sometime in the.
But offense, I thought
he was a defensive player. I thought he was a defensive player. But he play both ways? Anyway.
Hey.
Stop it, Skip.
Hey,
You not gonna get me with none of that today. None of that foolishness today. My grandma was a wise woman. She said, "It's not what they call you, baby. It's what you answer to." I said, "Yes, ma'am." Anyway,
that's right.
I told you he played. I told you he played defense. He played cornerback. Why you messing with me?
See,
look, man. I'm 51 years old.
So anyway,
Sometimes
all right,
I'm 51 years old. Sometimes I put my glasses on my head and will walk around the house looking for him. And my wife will let me. Don't come in here throwing me off my game. I told you it was Woodson and he played defense.
somehow I believe that.
Messing with me. I have me going back and looking at all my stats again. Man, why you got all the papers? So, okay, that's why I keep them papers. Because I know you going to come at me with some crazy stat. Talking about Cat, you wasn't the best pimp in East Point. You wasn't the best pimp down in you wasn't the best pimp down in Buckhead. And then I have to come back with all these receipts.
Bring out Buckhead, man. That's old school. Buckhead. Underground. That underground Buckhead. That was the jam back in the day, bro.
Buckhead has turned into a place you don't want to go these days.
That's exactly right. I don't want to go.
It's kind of sad.
Nope.
But let's get back on this. Let's keep this.
Back on the conversation, Fingers. I want to ask you this. So, do you think Florida hadn't been relevant since Tebow left? Is that a good question? Because I mean, Urban was there, and Urban left because of whatever he had this medical condition, blah blah blah. But I think he left because he had nothing left. You know what I'm saying?
No, He left because he was coming under investigation for some stuff. Because if you remember,
right. But Tebow left too. And Tebow left too. He had nothing. All that offense was built around Tebow.
Tebow left to go to the league. Hernandez left to go to the league. But if you remember, he also had an up and coming quarterback who got dismissed from the team, who had to go play JUCO for a while because he got into some trouble for stealing laptops, and then he popped back up at Auburn, and then wound up getting drafted number 1, winning the Heisman Trophy, winning the national championship, and getting drafted by the Panthers. And we talk about Mr. Cam Newton. So there were a lot of
that was Mr. Newton. No, it was Auburn, right?
No, Cam Newton was at Florida. He was recruited by Florida. He was on the team. He got into some trouble at Florida. He had to leave the program. He went to some JUCO program. And then when he came back to D1, he wound up at Auburn.
Whoa! You just learned me. You just learned me something there. All right, I got you.
Yeah, that was a whole hullabaloo. And then they talk about that's why you see all the memes about Florida had a whole murderer's row down there.
Oh yeah, and I mean that's that was before that though. That was going on before that.
So my man Sean is just dropping nuggets on us here. He said that Davis is the third best D lineman. Hutchinson from Michigan and Thibodeau for Oregon are better according to the draft boards. Well, see, here's my thing. A lot of people are basing Jordan Davis's worth based on his stats. And I got to be honest with you. I don't pay. There are some things that stats just cannot measure. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Like, as an example, to go pro, Peyton Manning played for the Colts, as we all remember. And what wound up happening, he won a Super Bowl with him, and then he hurt his neck. Now, he had all the stats in the world. He was on his way to – he had broken a whole bunch of records and was on his way to breaking a few more when he broke his neck. Well, he had to sit out for a whole season. What happened to Indy that year? They were absolute garbage, and that's all they talked about on every talking head program, from the 4-letter to CBS to Fox to every place else, is does Peyton Manning, we even talked about it on Quiet on the Set, should Peyton Manning be in the running for the most valuable player award? Because it's based on what you contribute to the team. It's not just your stats. The very fact that their starting quarterback went out, if the backup was capable, he should have at least been able to lead them to, I think they only won like 2 games that season. Yeah. Right? Sean Duda hit me up with go ahead and hit me with the research on that one too. I think they only won 2 games that season. But here's the thing. The thing with Davis is the contribution that he brings to the table is that he is such a force to be reckoned with on that defensive line. I have watched for 7-8 weeks. Teams have dedicated 2 guys, 3 guys to to tie him up. Well, what do you do? What does that mean? What does that leave you when you've got 5 guys on the line of scrimmage and 1 guy in the backfield, and you've devoted your running back and 2 offensive linemen to block that 1 guy?
Right.
Guess what happens? N'Kobe Dean slides through the cut and gets the sack.
Right.
I mean, it's that kind of thing. Just like Refrigerator Perry. Fridge didn't have a whole lot of Fridge was more famous for his touchdowns than his sacks and tackles. Fridge was such an unusually large man.
Individual. He was a fridge.
He was such an unusually large man in the NFL at that time that nobody could block him. He literally would just lay down on folks, and folks just run across his back and make all kinds of plays.
Well, I mean, case in point, like number 88. Sorry, yeah. What? I can't remember his name. Who's 88? Georgia. Remember when he blocked 3? He blocked 3.
Jalen Carter.
Yeah, Carter blocked 3 people. Like he had 3 people when Zeus went in there to score. Like I guess we were on like 2-yard line, but I mean, that's insane.
Yeah. So I mean, Jordan Davis only has what total 7 solo tackles and 11 assists. So he's got a total of 18.
How many sacks he got?
1.5 for 5 yards.
That's it.
That's it.
I would
But
think
he said, but that's my point. Is that? But he's part of that key cog as to why that defense is so good, because they got 2 and 3 guys blocking him. Then that lets that lets Channing Tindall have 18 solo tackles. That lets N'Kobe Dean have 16 tackles. And, N'Kobe's got 3.5 sacks for 26 yards. And he's not even is he the sack leader? He's not the sack leader. Adam Anderson has 4.5 sacks for 17 yards. So, I mean, Sean, I know you talking about what they have for talent. I am of the opinion, me having watched him play week in, week out, that he's more of a talent than his stats would indicate. And that's what a lot of those guys look at, like Mel Kiper and those guys. A lot of those guys are stat guys. And I like to throw stats out too. And, as a scientist, you can reasonably expect a certain outcome based on statistics. But I know what Jordan Davis contributes to that defensive unit.
But the pressure he applies opens up for other people to make those kind of plays, is what you're saying, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think Heisman, I don't know that he would be nominated. I think there's more of a chance of Caleb Williams being nominated for the Heisman than Jordan Davis. And even then, I think he's only played 10 quarters of football. So everybody pump your brakes. The kid is special. And the kid is special. And there's going to be many more highlights to come. But
of course.
Pump your brakes. So pump your brakes on that one.
And it is SEC. It is SEC. So,
we're talking SEC football. So all together, Georgia, 269 points scored. We're not lighting up the scoreboard every week, but here's why we don't have to. That defense has held in 7 games their opponents to 46 points total for the whole season.
That's crazy.
For the whole season.
But who we played though?
Well, everybody always.
That's rhetorical. That was rhetorical. Sorry.
I'm tired of that whole who had they played logic, man. That gets played because Clemson is not ranked anymore. We beat them early in the season when they were ranked, when they were relevant.
We've beaten 4 teams that were top 25, right?
Yeah,
right?
We have 4. Georgia as a team has 4 top 25 wins, and Clemson. I don't know what happened to them, but that's a whole. We could do an entire another hour on that. Like they have. Let's look at the rushing game. Here's what our defense has done to the rush game. We have outgained our opponents by 800 yards exactly this season on the ground because of our defense. Our defense has held our opponents to 649 yards rushing total, and a total of 205 yards lost on the ground. Think about the fact that the number 1 rusher in the SEC came to Sanford Stadium and had 7 total yards in Chris Rodriguez. And that boy is a stud. That boy is a stud. I don't know what class he's in, but if he's a junior or senior, He probably should go now while his draft stock is high. That kid is a monster. And then on the passing end, even though I talked about our secondary, we're holding our opponents to 144.86 yards per game. Like we talked about, that rush is just in there. It's quick, it's fast. And I think with Florida having the issues that they've had with their O line, with their D line, I mean, they've got a quarterback who has to run so much. I think that's why he's got that many interceptions this year. Is basically he doesn't have the protection. The protection breaks down. You got three options. Run away from it, extend the play and throw a pass or take a sack. It's one of them three.
And I know we're talking about Florida, but I mean that I've always said, and I know you agree with me. Like the key to beating Alabama is pressure on the quarterback, getting through the line, making them make bad decisions. And you know what I mean, that's the key. If you have a great quarterback, you know, like a Tua or like whoever, you make them make bad decisions. You know what's going to happen.
Absolutely, and that's
the key.
That is the key, and chances are pretty good that we will wind up seeing. You know what? I said that Alabama, it was probably be Georgia, Alabama for the SEC championship. I got to be completely honest. The way some of these teams have played Bama this year, I think there's a shot at an upset.
Yeah, it's different. It is different.
I mean, you've had.
You got Tennessee and Florida playing them the way they played them.
Tennessee and Florida played them close, and Florida played them extremely close. That came down to the wire.
Yeah.
And Florida played them close for an entire half of football, which that doesn't happen very often. And then we know what happened at Texas A&M. So, yeah, I got one. I got another topic I want to touch on. Quarterback. Who you got? The mailman versus JT Daniels. There's been a whole lot of yapping, more so among the fans than among the sports press. Been a lot of yapping about why isn't JT Daniels playing? Why isn't JT Daniels playing? Why does he keep trotting Stetson Bennett out there? I've said it week in and week out. Bennett has definitely shown improvement from backing up Jake Fromm in garbage mop-up time to last season to this season. He has come into his own. He's more comfortable in the pocket. I see him moving around more comfortably in the pocket. He started to he's also added scrambling to his resume.
Yeah.
So he can scramble around. He's been dinged a couple of times. And here's the important thing. He's been dinged a couple of times and he's able to go back out and play. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much talent you have in JT Daniels. And I'm not knocking the kid because the kid's talented. But for me, it's about who you can get on the field, who can be out there every week.
Well, the thing with mailman to me is like, he's got a chip on his shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody was booing him, this, that, and blah, blah, blah. And he showed up. Like he's been showing up, like religiously. Like he's been the guy. Like he's actually like we just talked about earlier, like he has 7%, pass, completion rate, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think, and even like we were talking about earlier, also like JT is a dog. Like he is a teammate. He is a 100% teammate. He's been posting on Facebook, about him, about the mailman, about
Facebook, IG, Twitter. He is showing Stetson. He's showing Stetson all the love.
Absolutely, showing him so much love. So I'm saying that it's a fabricated quarterback controversy as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying?
Listen. It's like I said, it's mostly among the fans. And one thing that we have learned, especially since going back 4 years to Jake Fromm versus Jake Eason, if there's one thing Georgia fans love, it's a made-up quarterback.
Absolutely, you are absolutely right, Frank.
Because Jake is Eason is our guy, and then Eason.
Look at Fields. I mean, like even Justin Fields. You know what I'm saying? Put Fields in the conversation.
Oh no, Eason got hurt. We hope Fromm doesn't mess it up. Oh man, Fromm is really reeling. Oh, Eason is back. I can't wait till Eason goes back in. Why is Eason not playing? Oh my God, Fromm is going to lead us to the championship. Like by the end of the season, it was like, who's Eason? But then,
right, exactly.
But then when the season rolled back around, they were like, yeah, we're going to get to see what Jacob Eason does. And Kirby was like,
wasn't it?
Kirby was like, what is wrong with you people? Were you not paying attention? This kid
Right.
led us to a national championship last year.
Absolutely.
This is my guy. Easton winds up dipping out. Justin Fields comes in. Oh, we got to get Justin Fields behind it. I mean, this kid's great. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. And coach was like, Fromm is my guy. And he wound up transferring out. I mean, I got to give props to Kirby for supporting his guys all day, every day. You got exactly, Sean. And you got to ride the hot hand.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is JT a red shirt or no? He's a senior. I know that, but is he a red shirt?
Nah,
he's done, right?
JT Daniels?
Yeah.
Oh,
after this year.
I think he's got one more after this. Hold on.
He really?
Well, hold on. I got it right here in front of me. Let's take a look. Let's go to the videotape.
JT Daniels came to us. That man's a senior. I know that for a fact. I know he's a senior. I know he's done after this. But at the same point, I mean, more props to him, though. More props to the mailman because, I mean, he's got so much. He had so many people just dogging him. And now, I mean, he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's doing awesome. He's doing great.
Yeah, he is. He's
got the speed. You know what I'm saying? If you throw JT in there, he's a pocket passer. You know, you got mailman. Mailman, he can scramble. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he is. Speaking of JT Daniels, he is a junior. So he's got one more season. And honestly, I think that JT, it would do him some good to take some reps because I still don't think he's 100%. Take some reps.
I wouldn't put him in
No, I'm saying take whatever reps you can get, but don't try and go in there and take the starting job because you got one more season ahead of you. Because if his intent was to come back hot this year, and if you remember, he was in that pool of guys that were in the Heisman conversation before the season started. It was him. It was Spencer. It was Matt Corral. People didn't know about Bryce Young so much, but they just by default, just because he's at Alabama, DJ Uiagalelei, who got benched on Saturday. So I think that ride is over. But if it was his intent to come through, ball out this season, maybe win the Heisman, and then go in the draft. Well, he got hurt, so he doesn't have a really big body of work this season. So he's gonna wind up coming back. I mean, unless Carson Beck or Brock Vandagriff or somebody really show out, he's gonna be the starter next year.
So going to the conversation about the Georgia-Florida game, I said Georgia-Florida, not Florida-Georgia. I said Georgia-Florida game. You know how
so do I.
What I'm saying is like, all right, so Kirby's got a big thing about the neutral field aspect, which it really isn't a neutral field. It's in Jacksonville, but I mean, Gainesville is an hour away, and what is it from Athens? Like 5 hours. So there's a whole big thing now. He's trying to move the game to a neutral type field. I don't know where that would be, but I mean, I've been seeing that in a little bit of the news or whatever. Like he's been a little bit talking about it as far as recruiting aspect. So I mean, like where I mean, like what would be the
ideal
what would be the options? I mean, I don't know where would you go?
I'm not sure. I have always been perplexed as why don't we do a home and home because all the other
that would be awesome. Yeah,
all the other rivalries do it. I mean, even with us in Georgia Tech, we bounce back and forth between Sanford and Bobby Dodd. Auburn and Alabama, Iron Bowl, back and forth.
Well, I mean, it was the Gator Bowl. Now it's Alltel Stadium. So, I mean, I'm saying this is NFL Stadium. It was the Gator Bowl, which was a different kind of environment per se. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day.
I mean, even Red River, Oklahoma may go to Texas, but they don't play. Actually, I think that game is late. More on that later. Anyway, my point is, I think we're gonna see more of JT next year. Take whatever reps that he can get in terms of if coach manages to work him in, or if the game is under control and Stets needs to rest his arm for a little bit, throw JT in there, get a couple passes, whatever. You know what I mean? Because I think that the goal at the end of the year is to get JT at least game ready enough that if we really need him late in the season, then he's available. Because the last thing you want is to put an untested Carson Beck and an equally untested Brock Vandagriff into an SEC championship game, into a national championship game. Everybody can't be Nick Saban and have a Tua go in there and win it for you.
Right.
He's right now. JT Daniels is a new Tua Tagovailoa because he got hurt at USC, which is how he wound up here. And he got hurt here, which is how he wound up sitting most of the season. So personally, my opinion is make that move. Let the mailman start. Let the mailman cook. Let the mailman eat.
That boy delivers mail.
I don't. Yeah, let him deliver the mail. You know what I'm saying? I'm using everybody. I'm using James Harden and Zeke. I'm using all the analogies, but let the mailman deliver the mail. He's got the truck. He got the truck warmed up. When I worked for the post office, you used to have to take all your stuff and put it in order. How you go on your route, so you could just reach back and grab it, and you knew you had the mailbox. Bam, 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 bam. And then when I was new, I didn't know what I was doing. Sometimes I go out there and I'd be like, okay. Okay, man. By the time I left that post office, I was just like the rest of them drivers.
I want that publisher's clearinghouse. I want $1 million. That's what I want.
So, and that's the whole point. The mailman has learned his routes. The mailman is now. He's no longer a substitute carrier. He's not a regular carrier. They need to put him out there and let him do what he does on the big stage in TIAA Bank Stadium against them Gators on Saturday.
There is no conversation. There's no controversy whatsoever. He should be a starter till he needs to be replaced. That's it. I mean, he needs to be started. Let him go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh man, brother, it has been good having you on, man.
Dude, I had fun, man. I appreciate you having me.
It's been good having you on. You know what? We still have to do the segment that we talked about. I tell you what we do. We'll work on that. But we have another segment we're trying to work in, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to give it away, but it's kind of a little bit of a surprise. Yeah. It's a little bit of a surprise that we had to work on that. So we're going to bring that. We're going to start bringing that. I don't know if we can do it this week, this coming weekend. I'd love to if we can make it happen. But if we can't, we can start next week, and that'll be an integral part of the show from this point going forward. Man, I cannot wait. I know that I will not be there this year. I hope to be able to make my way down there next year. Hopefully, get down. I don't know though. That's too many drunk people,
bro. I've already told you we got a year. Me and you gonna go. We're either go to Athens. We're definitely gonna go to the Georgia-Florida game. I'd
rather go to Athens than the Georgia-Florida game, and here's why. I spent 18 years as a karaoke host, and I had to deal with my share of drunk people, and that was just the bar. That was just a bar with 40, 50 people in it.
I might be one of them.
You talking about a stadium full of almost 100,000 people, and everybody want to fight now. Everybody want to be the next big world star of the world star.
Oh, it's better. It's better now. Trust me. Like back in the day, there was at least one murder. So I mean, it's better now.
You realize that you're not doing anything to press your case about getting me to go down there. No, man, come on down there. It was only one murder. They're only averaging one murder a year. Well, hell,
that was back in the day. No, that was back in the day, bro. Hear me.
Me by myself makes one. Me by myself makes one. You by yourself make one. That means we could be. That means we could be together and we good. It's like long as we stay together, we good. But you go that way. Look,
I said everything got better.
It'll be just like a horror movie. You be like, hey, man, I'm going to go get a beer real quick. You want anything? Nah, I'm going with you, bro. We going together.
You outrun me. That's all. You got to outrun me. If you don't outrun me, you're dead.
Look, you ain't going to have me on national television in Jacksonville talking about, why can't we just get in the running car?
Oh, what's crazy, man? Hey, fingers. What's crazy is like they actually tore down the landing. Jacksonville landing. They tore that down like a couple of years ago.
I heard about that, and people.
You heard about that? That's crazy because I mean that was where everybody kind of filtered out after the game, and that was a big party, dude. It was a good time.
And let me guess. That's the place where the one murder a year was. See how we to come back to this.
See,
we need to.
You focus on the wrong part of the story. You focus on the wrong part of the story. You make it all negative. Don't make it negative. Make it. Come on, man. Make it positive.
Hold on. You said all you.
I said back in the day.
Back in the day, January is considered back in the day to me. I'm 51. I count on every one of my days as precious now. I'm 51. I'm finna be 52 next year.
All right, 51. I'm 45. 51.
I'm trying to make it to 52, but you trying to get me cut off at 52 and a half, like that old gospel song 99 and a half won't do. I'm trying to get to 100.
Hey, 99 problems. Jordan Davis ain't win, right?
Yes, sir. Right. Absolutely not.
Hey.
Oh man. Since I mentioned the old church song, I thought it would be appropriate if Pastor Handy came in and gave a benediction. Brothers and sisters, if you would, as we look to our ushers to be dismissed, let us look this week to TIAA Bank Stadium in the heart of Duval County, where Timothy Richard Tebow once ran ragged as a young man, where Herschel Walker once ran victorious en route to his Heisman Trophy win, and such other godly heroes as Rodney Hampton and Aaron Hernandez and Hines Ward, all good dogs. The dogs that I mentioned, the Gators, we got a special place for them over there. But what I want you to do right now, ladies and gentlemen, all of those of you under the sound of my voice, look to your neighbor on the right and tell your neighbor it's Florida versus Georgia week. Look to your neighbor on the other side and say it's Florida versus Georgia week. Now, I do not have an end zone to put you in nor a flag to throw on the ground. But one thing that we are praying for on this Saturday, that when the clock tick down to all 4 zeros, that the men in red and black will reign victorious in the 99th meeting of the Georgia Dogs versus the Florida Gators. And the congregation and the faithful, the Bulldog faithful said amen and said, go Dogs. God bless you and go forth in peace. That's all the time we got for today, y'all. Colin, my man, I appreciate you coming by, man. Much love to my man Colin. He'll be joining us in some more segments. On behalf,
yes, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
On behalf of this week in SEC football, my man Colin, my partner at home watching.
Hey,
Sean,
we can't let it go without saying how about them Braves though.
Oh yes, sir. Hey, that's tonight, isn't it?
No. It's a couple days more.
Okay. Couple days more. Oh, we can't go without giving them one. Yes, go Dogs! Sick 'em! Her. All right, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out. Sean and I will be back on Thursday. We will see you. Until then, y'all be good to yourselves and to each other. And thank you to our sponsor, DJG Enterprises and Greek Gans. We'll catch you on Thursday.
Be sure to like and subscribe for content and more on your new home for podcasts and independent music on the Zagnif One Radio Network.